I am, it's Sunday, and the boys have got play dates over today. And Diggory's friend James comes over, and his mum says to me, "You do know about James's nut allergy, don't you?" And I did know about James's nut allergy, but it just wasn't something that had crossed my mind when I invited him over for a play date. Anyway, then it turns out I have to know how to use an EpiPen because his nut allergy is so severe that if he had an allergic reaction, it would be life-threatening for James. So suddenly I start to think about life with allergies. None of my children have got allergies. Nobody in my family has, so it's not something I've come across before. This is something new to me, and I've actually spent a bit of time looking it up because obviously when you have a play date, that child comes into your care and it's down to you to look after and protect that child while you've got them over at your house. And there's me, I just thought, oh, I'm going to grab stuff out of the fridge for lunch. We'll have some pizza, garlic bread. And suddenly I realised that actually, if I don't find out quickly how to check for what things are inside and the ingredients and how they might affect James, then obviously I might be putting him into a very dangerous situation. So James has been absolutely brilliant actually, and so's his mum, in explaining to me how to look for things in the ingredients, how to find out if there's something that might perhaps affect him. And this is what you get when you get James for a play date. All of his medication. There's these kind of things, some simple stuff like Piriton that certainly would take away some of the reactions that you might get, because obviously what you're looking for in somebody with an allergy is if they're starting to get swollen neck, itchy neck, things that you might experience on a lesser scale with hay fever and stuff like that. But then obviously I felt the need to learn how to use an EpiPen because God forbid that situation arises. I need to know exactly what to do and how to do it properly. So I've taken on the responsibility of making sure that lunch isn't going to put James into a difficult position, and also reading up how to use his medication and how to use an EpiPen. And it's just made me suddenly aware of how difficult life is when you've got an allergy. James isn't able to go into any restaurant he likes with his family and choose anything off the menu. He can't go into the supermarket with mummy and choose whatever he likes. It's actually quite a life-changing thing and something you have to live with day to day. James has agreed to come in and chat to us and talk about what it's like living with allergies, and also he's going to explain how to use the EpiPen, which I just think is something that we should all know how to use, in the same way that we should all know how to do mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, because these are things that could save someone's life, and hopefully things that we will never have to use, never have to perform, but we may well do. So James has agreed to come on camera with me. Thank you, James. Just to talk about his nut allergy. So James is Diggory's friend, who's come over for a play date, and I see it as very important when you're looking after someone else's kid to know everything about them. And obviously James's mummy explained to me that he had a nut allergy and that you can have quite a severe reaction, can't you, to nuts. So what might happen to you if you were to have nuts? Can you explain what's happened to you before?
So if I ate something like Nutella, for example,
Yeah.
my throat would swell up and I wouldn't be able to breathe very well.
So it's like an anaphylactic shock, isn't it? Some people get that from a bee sting, don't they? And you get it from nuts. And what things do you have to do every day what do you have to be careful of every day? Do you have to read ingredients?
Well, whenever we go to the shops, Mum or I will check the back of something and it will say something like allergy advice, say ingredients in bold, also may contain traces of nuts.
And is there anything that you really, really miss that you can't eat because it's got nuts in it? Cake. Aww. And so Mummy's given me a special bag which has got all your stuff in it, just in case, and I'm trying to be very careful, just in case you had an allergic reaction to nuts. And one of the things, the main piece of kit in the bag, which I've been looking at, is this, the EpiPen. And I'm actually really shocked that I've managed to get to my age with 3 children and never come across an EpiPen before and never had to look up how to use one, which I'm actually a little bit ashamed of as well, that it's taken me kind of getting to this point and James's mummy saying, do you know how to use one of these? And saying no feels really, really awful actually, because knowing how to use one of these could save somebody's life. If you ever see somebody having some kind of anaphylaxis, a reaction to anything, then it's quite likely that they will know that they've got an allergy or have a reaction to something. It's quite likely they'll have one of these on their person. So this is no bad thing for everybody to know how to use. Obviously, the first thing that anyone does in any emergency situation is call 999. Get professional help to the scene as quick as you possibly can. And I know this from personal experiences with my kids who were in and out of hospital in emergency situations so many times from not breathing, and getting professional help there, I believe, has saved my children's lives many times. So that's always your number one. But then if you can get your hands on the EpiPen, which we've got James's EpiPen here. So there are other things that you might do, like give him Piriton, other medication to perhaps take the symptoms away and help him breathe. But this is the thing that's going to save his life if he needs it. Do you want to explain what we have to do with this?
Okay.
Okay, so first off, we need to remove the blue bit on the top, don't we?
There's the EpiPen there. You need to remove the blue bit. Obviously, I'm not going to do it. And once you've done that, you need to jab it into the leg, and then wait for 10 seconds.
And when you jab it into the leg, the idea is to get the needle. There's a needle in this end. You want to get the needle into James's muscle in the leg, which gets the medication in as fast as it possibly can into James's body. And it's not just placing it against your leg and pushing it in, is it? It's a proper jab into the thigh. And then you've got to hear a click, haven't you?
Yeah.
And then you've got to count to 10. You're waiting for 10 seconds. It's a very simple thing. The instructions are very simple, and they're very, very, very simply written out here, as you can see. But obviously, this is one of those things that is worth familiarising yourself with, because in that moment of adrenaline and panic, because somebody needs your help, it's quite easy to forget what you're supposed to be doing. So familiarising yourself with how to use an EpiPen could well save somebody's life. So yeah, it's worth you sharing that information with all your friends, isn't it? And just telling your friends at school, I carry an EpiPen and this is how you have to use it. And just making all your friends aware that they need to know to get a teacher very quickly, to get help on site very quickly if you're struggling to breathe. Is that right?
Yes.
Is there anything else? Any other bits of info that you feel like you need to share?
I don't think so.
No? So just watch those ingredients. Always make sure if you've got a play date that the child doesn't have any allergies. And it certainly made me think a lot more about allergies and how we care for our children's friends.